Greetings, everybody. Welcome. Another episode of Nuts and Bolts. I'm getting a little bit tongue-tied here already. Great start to the night.
That's fine.
That's
It sets everybody's expectations at an
That's
appropriate level.
I'm feeling that as well. Like this is our show. Just come down to where we are. We'll sit on the floor and just nice and relaxed. Yeah.
Also, I feel like you've lost your superpowers a bit without your facial hair.
I do have a little bit there. It's coming back. Like because I'm doing
Yeah.
Movember, so I've got a little bit of the chopper stash happening at the moment, but it's a
Nice.
little bit light. So, but it is coming back. Give it another week or so, and I'll have a glorious mustache.
Excellent. This is what we like to see.
That's it. And us at Goa here, we're actually doing Movember, and this is a spur of the moment thing, so I'm not prepared for this at all. But so we are doing Movember. If you'd like to donate, for those that don't know, Movember is a fundraising thing for things like testicular cancer, prostate cancer, and also the mental health. So I'm a big one for the mental health side of things. So if you would like to, I'm chucking the link in Twitch chat at the moment. You can go to that page and donate to our Movember fundraising there. So I think last year we raised over $2,500. So we're hoping to get somewhere near that at the moment. So please, if you've got some spare money, donate, because we're really big on that. It's just okay to game. Message that we like giving out, and we want you to look after yourselves. So please, if you can spare it, donate there. Or if you can't, if you don't have that money at the moment, then please share it around and put it on your socials, and we'll go on. But yes, after that little sidetrack there, how are you going, Natty?
I'm good. I was just saying to you before, like we've had this like cold snap come through in Adelaide for some reason, because that's what happens in November. So I'm feeling a little bit like wintry, like I want to be all snuggled in bed, but not yet because we've got esports to talk about.
That's it. I feel just sticking on the weather for a little bit. I feel like it's all over Australia at the moment, because even in Perth at the moment, like we had a really beautiful weekend last week. I was out in a beer garden on Sunday. It was absolutely stunning. And Monday it was raining again.
Oh,
And over east, I saw Menthonzo in our Discord posted like the weather radar
huge
map.
storms.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's crazy. But yeah, the weather's all over the place at the moment. But you know where weather doesn't matter? When you're playing esports.
Heck, yes.
That's it.
Bloody gaming and esports.
Oh yeah, because you know what we like. We like gaming, and we bloody like gaming. So let's move on to some esports news. So we'll start off with some Rainbow Six news. Bloody like gaming. So. Oh, hang on. I'll mute that. Sorry, I've forgotten that sound was still coming through. But we're all good. This is a professional outfit here. We do things properly, and we never make any mistakes, said no one ever. So we're going to start with some Rainbow Six news. So at the moment, they've got the Six Sweden major happening over in, Sweden, really.
It's good it's in the name, honestly.
It is. It really is. It helps me out a lot. So this was posted a few days ago about the Oxygen Esports team, which is in the Chiefs bracket, which is the Australian team over at Sweden at the moment. So unfortunately, one of their players tested positive for COVID. That's the bad news. The good news is that this major had some really good processes in place. So as soon as it was detected, he was isolated. There were players, and anybody that was like a close contact was isolating as well and getting tests done. And for a little bit until I think November 12th, that player will be in isolation, but their coach will be able to step in and play for them. So not the best news preparation wise, but it's great to see that that these processes in place and they've been activated and they're working how they need to be, because we love seeing the LAN events, and processes like this are how we continue to have LAN events post-COVID.
Yep, absolutely. I think it's been awesome to have an Aussie team over there playing at the international. This would have been absolutely devastating if the whole thing got shut down with one COVID case. So they've done the really smart thing here. I was listening to Jess, one of the commentators. Yes, sorry, Aussie and New Zealand team. Yes. I made that faux pas at the press conference because it's one of the few APAC teams which has like players from Australia and New Zealand on it, because it's 2 and 2, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, that might be going on a tangent.
Oceanic team.
Yes, and she was just talking about how they've got all these protocols in place. Like if you're ordering food up, there has to be somebody that's going to go and bring it to you, so you don't have contact with the outside delivery people and all this kind of extra stuff. So it's just nice that they've got. Oh, thank you, Blue. Blue is in chat. He's got me sorted. 4 Aussie players, 1 NZ player, and the NZ coach. Thank you.
Legend.
I just think it's brilliant. I completely agree with you. This is the way forward for international events for the next little while. They're still missing the audience from the event, but as we build up robust processes like this, each little step closer is going to get us there, which is great.
Yep. Cool. It's funny you should mention Jess, because I was looking at a couple of the comments on this, and like the first one straight up is from multiple negative tests yet still forced to isolate, and the next comment is actually from Jess saying yes, because anyone with high school biology knows what an incubation period is. and then the next one is qualify as contact tracers but tested negative multiple times, and like clown face emojis, and then there's Jess quoting her previous tweet saying about the incubation period.
Yeah, but, it can be quite difficult to like understand all the stuff around COVID, and I certainly would. I know it's really hard for Oxygen because they're not being able to field their best team, but you understand Ubisoft and the team being overcautious.
Yep. Because like you could end up with something like the Valorant tournament a few weeks ago, where they actually had to delay the play because of one of the teams there was a COVID outbreak there, so they had to delay the whole thing like by a week and a half, I think it was. So that just extended the tournament time and extended people's time away and all that sort of stuff. So great for Ubisoft for having this process in place and allowing the games to go forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you had a bit of luck with your with a press conference that you were able to sit on Natty. Can you talk us a little bit about this one?
Yeah, so this was after their first win. Lucky enough to get in on a press conference. It was 10 o'clock my time, and the guys were just great. They were really chatty, obviously coming off a win, feeling a bit more bouncy and optimistic about things. But I was chatting to a few people behind the scenes, and the Chiefs guys are just beautifully like optimistic and happy, just to be there at an international event and soaking it all up. Even coming off the backs of losses, that were still, vibing with some general positivity. So I was, you'll hear me ask the question, but I was just asking them about how they're dealing with the cold, because obviously they're dealing with, sub-zero temperatures there. I think most days you're getting to kind of 1 or 2 degrees as a maximum.
All of them are kind of looking a bit like this, aren't they?
Yeah, and even on set, it's still a little bit on the colder side. So I was just asking them with how they're dealing with that. So yeah, you can roll that.
I just wanted to start with kind of something that I noticed when a lot of the players were coming to play, which was they were warming up their hands on hand warmers. I'm wondering if you guys are having a hard time warming up for matches, and if you're doing anything different to normal than you would than in lovely sweaty Australia.
Definitely having a hard time warming up.
Yeah.
We were talking about this morning, like our hands are so cold.
Yeah.
Me and Rain's hands were so cold. We kept touching each other's faces.
I don't know why, but the ends of my fingers are just freezing. It's weird. But they give you hand warmers, and I'm just like touching the hand warmers a lot. So
Did you say you had him, the coach?
What's that? Oh yeah, I searched it up. Like it's called Raynaud's disease. I don't know. I don't have it, but I've just diagnosed myself with it. Yeah. Like the end, like the end of my fingers are so
I
cold.
think I've got a brain tumor.
I don't know. Yeah, it's. I don't know. The handball was there like all right for me. So my hands were cold, but it got better. So yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. And obviously, having this last win is really good running into the next round of groups, I think.
Cool. Yeah, so that they do seem like they're having fun. I feel like that's a trademark of the Australian teams when they go over there. It's they don't get a chance to go over there often, so they're just enjoying it. Like I could definitely see that in how Pentanet were over there, and even Peace when they were over there for Worlds too. And they're there. They don't know when they're going to get back again, because there'll be half a dozen or a dozen teams they're playing against in Australia to try and qualify for an international event. And well, Blue Panda says first time in 2 years for an ANZ Rainbow Six team, so that's crazy. And they're just having the time of their lives. They're enjoying themselves, which I love to see.
Yeah, there was a few questions thrown Ethan's way because he is one of the players that's had international experience before. But he was quite reserved about it, just saying, they were asking him, what's it like this time? He says, it's good. It's good. He didn't give too much away. So yeah, it was just fantastic to get to see them and interact with them, and wishing them all the luck. They've had a little bit of a rough run coming through groups so far, and they've got a little bit of an uphill climb to make it out through to the playoffs. So
they do. I think they're scheduled to play very, very shortly. In fact, I'm talking within hours of being on the Bravo channel for Rainbow Six. Where they're coming up against both, I think it's Phase and Oxygen tonight, and they really, really need to win that. Yeah, that's right, Blue Panda. They need to win the rest, and I think also Phase has to lose, not win as well. I think, so it's definitely an uphill battle, not undoable though, and we have seen some good runs before from Australian teams at international events. So, all the best to them, and. If you're not doing anything after Nuts and Bolts, of course, go and check out them on the Rainbow Six Bravo channel.
Yeah, I really do like what they do with the Sweden major and what they've done with Rainbow Six events, where if you get an outright win, so if it doesn't go to a tiebreaker, you do get more points, which is what we've seen them do with World of Tanks as well, just giving more points for that outright win, which does then create that divide in the pack when we're looking at these groups and playoff stages. So fingers crossed for a couple of outright wins, and they can get on top and get out of groups into playoffs.
Yep, definitely. Just one more thing that I would like to make mention of. So it was a tweet I came across from the Esports Charts Twitter. So they collate a whole heap of stuff about figures and from viewing of various esports events. And from day one, the day one matches, it peaked, the Six Sweden Major peaked at 100,000 viewers, with the FaZe and Chiefs game having 83,000 viewers, which was the highest game for the day there. So that was, I think that's amazing, the fact that it was an Australian team that was of Oceanic team. So I need to correct myself there as well. That was part of that. So that's
APAC South.
APAC South.
APAC
That's
South.
It. Yeah. So that's really cool to see that happening there for them. It's
really good. I don't know if you've been seeing any of the chats that have been going off, but there's been some friendly fire between us and NA as per usual.
Yeah.
Just lots of fun and banter going on in chat, which is always good to see at the international events.
And again, lots of OCE will not be silenced in chat.
Yes, yes, and I think just the whole. How impressed I am that so many fans will stay up to 2 a.m. in the morning to watch a game. They're obviously big fans and wanting to watch it, but I'm last night I set my alarm for 2 a.m. to get up and watch the game last night. So, it's just something special about, the international events, and especially having, the Chiefs there. It's giving us somebody to cheer for, which is great.
That's it. You do got to go back to Boys Blue Panda Cast. You definitely do. I'm very glad to see them there. On more Chiefs news as well, Natty actually brought this one to my attention earlier about Chiefs signing a 2-year strategic partnership deal with Manchester United star Jesse Lingard.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like they've got enough on their plate at the moment, but they're making major strategic partnership announcements during their time at the major. So what we're looking at here is a strategic partnership for them to kind of share resources and knowledge across the 2 different continents, but also looking at creating some programs for development as well, which is going to be really exciting. I think having additional resources in multiple locations and a shared pool is going to be really useful for both teams. So
for sure,
that's going to be exciting.
And getting that sort of money behind you too, because this is a soccer player. He's not short of a few quid.
So we assume not. I didn't. Honestly, I don't follow soccer, and I don't know this player in particular, but I certainly am aware of what the A-League dollars bring in for them. So
well, I know enough to know that a lot of the big stars are on hundreds of millions of pounds a year, and it's crazy. And this Jesse Lingard looks like he has his own esports brand over there, the J-Lings Esports, which is what's partnering with the Chiefs. So you love to see it. Love to see organisations get together and work to the benefit of esports as a whole. So good luck on that partnership, Chiefs, and hope it gets some good stuff for you. Then, of course, we got to switch over to League of Legends World. So that finished up over the weekend. We're going to play you a clip here of the last moments of the game.
Do they have it in them? In order to close this one out right here, there is one turret between EDG and history right now as Viper dashes forward. Showmaker goes golden, but it's not going to keep him alive.
And this is just crazy that all through the finals we saw so many games go to the 5th game, like best of 5s, and so many of them went to best of 5s. And even in instances where you thought that one side was definitely going to beat the other, it was a dogfight the whole way.
Yeah, no, it's incredible, and like I see a lot of times normally when it comes to finals like that, they're not usually this close. Like grand finals, there's usually a team that gets ahead of people early on, and that's what happens. But I think EDG took the first game, and then Damwon Kia came back and won the next 2 to put them on championship point. But then for EDG to come back and get the next 2 games after that, and if you're having a look at that, like they were playing that with Baron buff, and they've got 4 dragons there as well, and just the amount of kills, 9 to 20 at the end. That's an incredible scoreline there, and well done to EDG for bringing on that win, because I think most people were sort of tipping Damwon to go back to back with their wins there.
Absolutely. Damwon had a crazy run through Worlds. They were just knocking people down. They were the only team to make it through groups without a loss. There was a lot of backing behind them. Yeah. So it was definitely not expected. I think the only sad thing for me, one of the Damwon Kia players, he is getting drafted into the military next year and won't be able to play League of Legends. And it was just like, I feel bad for him. He's not going to get his shot to come back and redeem himself and get the championship. But there's always going to be personal stories like that leading into events, and it's certainly what gets me invested in it.
Yeah, for sure. I do want to point something out, because if you're watching the footage here at the moment, and because it caught my eye when I was making this clip. It'll come up in the moment in the bottom left-hand corner. This guy on the right here with his tie, Like he's gotten up and celebrating, and then it's just like he's frozen.
Oh wait,
And,
it's not over yet. The core's not dead.
yeah, that's it. We're not quite there yet. We're not there. We're almost there. But just how he holds it, like it's
Yeah.
That's okay because Miko took over and he knew he'd won.
Yeah, exactly right. It's always exciting in those last moments because there is always that chance that you can, push too hard and put yourself in a dangerous position and then end up having it the other way.
Yeah, well, especially when you're on that verge of getting in and attacking the base and getting onto the Nexus turrets and it's a fine art to actually be able to push in like that. You have to wait for the minion waves and but yeah, they did it and they took it out and the 2021 League of Legends World's champions.
Congratulations to them. That's really exciting. I think I'm just really, really excited to see the LCO kick off again next year, to be honest. Like the end of Worlds for me is like, all right, when's the Oceanic season starting up again? Because I'm ready to go. I'm pumped. Let's do this.
Me too. I'm ready. And I get the feeling it might be a little bit of a different makeup, seeing all the players sort of looking for new opportunities. Like I think there was probably about 3 of the Pentanet guys and 3 of the Peace guys that were looking for other opportunities just to see. But I guess like when your players that have gone to Worlds, you're probably looking for like a North American or European team to maybe try and move into. So like with that experience, why wouldn't you try it? Because that's where you'd go. Like as much as we love OCE teams and what they're doing here, if you want to succeed greatly, you've got to go overseas. Unfortunately, it's just a fact of where OCE is as a region.
I really like the idea that we're building up international experience here. We've had the players from Pentanet and players from Peace that have played internationally this last year. Luckily, the League of Legends events did go ahead and they were able to go and do that. So we're building that skill base and that knowledge base and that experience base in our region, and it's only going to make us stronger. I mean, I selfishly hope that all those players don't all go overseas. Maybe some mysterious rich benefactor will jump in and give them large contracts to stay here. That's yes. What I like the sound of.
I would like that. Some Twiggy Forest, you did it for Western Force here in WA. Come on, do it for our Pentanet boys and for esports in general. I'm sure you can. You got that mining money.
I like that. What would be your elevator pitch, right? You've got one of these millionaire billionaires standing in front of them. You want them to invest in a player or a team. What do you pick a particular player to push at the team, or do you talk about the whole league? What do you do?
I think I would push the marketability of the socials. But particularly. And once again, we're a little bit biased towards Pentanet on this channel, but what Pentanet did with their socials when they went away and how they went from like not even 1,000 Twitter followers to 10,000 through what they were doing and the work Winston was doing with their social media, it was crazy. And just the personalities that they were, I think if you can show that to an investor and go, look at this, how marketable is this? I think that they would have a lot more fun or a lot more interest in investing in it if they can see something that they can leverage, and if there's some reach there that they can use to I don't know, because if you're talking about investment and sponsorship, they've got to be getting an ROI on it as well. So if you can show, look, we've got this for you, and I think social media reach is a big one, especially in terms of mining giants. Like they tend to sponsor sporting, so it's not that much big a step to get in and sponsor some esports teams.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to sell a lump of coal to young Australians, I think esports is the way to go. I mean, you're going to be capturing that younger audience, and just sneak in some little subliminal messages there about maybe
we can convince ScoMo to give us some money if he's trying to sell coal. Sorry to get political. We'll ignore that one. But no, luckily, most of the mining in WA for like FMG and Rio Tinto, a lot of that's more iron ore. So I'm sure we could do something with iron ore there.
All right, we'll work on our pitches. We'll get them out ready for the next season.
I think the thing is as well is like the reason Twiggy Forrest stepped in to save the Western Force was because he loved rugby union and he didn't want to see the WA team disappear. So him having a big interest in the sport to begin with was a big factor in him investing in the team. So yeah.
So we've got it. I'm hearing two things. Either we need to become billionaires, or we need to get billionaires to be fans of esports, and then they will look after us. All right.
Exactly it.
Plans to execute here. We'll get it done.
But audience also helps with that, and I just want to share something with you that was on Twitter from a Twitter feed called Nicolo. So look at this crowd. Look at this crowd here. This could be any sporting event anywhere in the world, but this is a square in China after EDG won. Listen to that.
Wow.
Listen to that bloody crowd. That is crazy. That is like that's the sort of stuff you see, footage of Americans flipping cars when their team wins the Super Bowl sort of thing. But it's an amazing sight. And I just wanted to highlight this because I just absolutely love this group of people just watching and celebrating their team winning in an esports arena.
Yeah, we'll get there.
We will. Eventually, we will get there. But you know what? Because we'll see in an interview I do a little bit later on with Jake Truman from World of Tanks, because we talk a little bit about building up esports from the grassroots, which is sort of the route that Wargaming has taken with the World of Tanks stuff. But I think that's how you build stuff. Like, it's great that you've got these international events to go to, but if you start down small, then get that grassroots support and have that really good base support for what you're doing, then that's how I think you grow a region more than just throwing money at it.
Oh, absolutely. Like getting that positivity and this natural word of mouth spread. I have the funniest story. So I was working night duties when the League of Legends finals were on. And I was on a break, had my laptop on, was watching on Twitch, and one of the other guys I was working with was like, "What's this?" And I'm like, "Oh, this is the League of Legends, world. It's their, international finals." He's like, "Oh, tell me more." Like, legitimately interested in it, because this guy's really big in traditional sports. And so we sat and watched the whole game together, and me with my limited League of Legends knowledge was just explaining to him what was going on, and like, he was getting into it because he's a sports fan. If you can sell it like sports, which you totally can, he was just like, "Oh, what's that do? What's that guy doing? What's happening over there?" Because there's so much happening in League of Legends as well. It was the highlight of my year, probably, when it comes to esports, is being able to share it with somebody who then has gone on to share it with other people. So it's cool.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I love that. Gotta love it. And yes, Napalmer, we did say tanks, or as Blue Panda Cast calls it, tonks. World of tonks.
World of tonks.
But,
is that a thing? Is that what the cool kids say?
I don't know. I've never heard of it said like that. But yes, we're World of Tanks ANZPL Season 3. But not just that, the ANZB League as well has been going on too. So last Friday we had the third place playoff for the ANZPL and the grand final for the ANZB League. So we got to see the Wollongong Wolverines take on the Lismore Leopards. Amazing game, came down to the tiebreaker in the end, right to the end of the best of 7 series, and the Lismore Leopards taking it out there. Just amazing to see, because Lismore Leopards was a new team for this season, and Wollongong Wolverines went through the whole season undefeated themselves. So that's just a brilliant little bit of finals play there, and just shows you that anything can happen on the day.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see that. Yeah, the B League's really dynamic, and anything can come through.
And like, because this is the second season of the B League as well, and there have been a few players that have come through from the B League that got drafted into the Premier League this season. Critical is one from he's playing for the Conquerors, and he actually won the sharpshooter competition, the Ironside Hot Shots sharpshooter competition there.
They've announced the results of that, have they?
Actually, I may have said that wrong, because the Hot Shots was the clip one.
Yes, the Hot Shots was the clip one.
But I think Ironside were also sponsoring the accuracy one as well. I can't quite remember what that was called, but so he's come up from the B League and gotten that. And Stewie has come up. I forget which team Stewie was playing for, but he was having a great season as well. So there's some really great players in the B League that could come up to the Premier League next year as well. So that'll be really awesome to see that. And then, of course, the second game for the night was the North Sydney Sentinels versus the South Sydney Scorpions. What many were predicting to actually be the grand final game, which turned into the third place playoff game due to some... I'll definitely call the Perth Panthers beating the Sentinels an upset. Wouldn't quite go calling the Matildas beating the Scorpions an upset, but it was not expected. But yeah, and you can see here, I think actually this, and Napalmer in chat would be able to correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is actually the first time in an ANZPL game that the Scorpions have beaten the Sentinels. But granted, they don't get much of an opportunity to play, so because you only play one team, each team once in the regular season, so you can only play them once a season, so that's a maximum of 3 times there that they would have played. And I think they met in the finals last year as well at some point, and they lost. Actually, no, I don't think they played in the finals. I can't quite remember.
It's testing your memory now.
No, actually, I think they did in the first round. Well, that's right. It's always been very, very close, Napalmer. It's always a really awesome match to see. In this case, Scorpions took out the third place match 4-2. And I'm hoping it's a trend that's continuing, because the team that finished on the top of the ladder has ended up with 4th spot after the playoffs. The team that was 2nd spot's in 3rd. So now I'm hoping with the matches that are coming up for this weekend, which is the grand final of the Melbourne Matildas and the Perth Panthers, I'm really, really hoping that, with the trend of the inversion, that Perth is going to finish up on top. Because they finished 4th, they'll go into first. I think it makes sense to me. Yeah.
It does. It really does. If it's a trend, you gotta go for it, don't you?
That's exactly right. I've spotted a trend and I'm running with it. The 2 data points aren't necessarily that good at prediction, but we'll run with that for now. But yeah, it's going to be a great game. If Perth wins, it'll complete a very amazing story arc, because they didn't actually have a finals position locked down until the last game of round 7. So it was like the last possible moment they could do it. They got into the finals, and then they beat the Sentinels, who were the reigning 2-time champions of the ANZPL, to get into the grand final. So it's going to be quite an interesting game, I think, because the way both of these teams are playing at the moment, it's going to be... they're just very evenly matched. And with the Panthers having a lot of confidence, having come off 2 wins in a row now, so that's got to be up there for them. And the Matildas as well, they're playing some solid tanks out there.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think in a million years you would have picked it with how the beginning of the season started. Oh, Perth and the Matildas ending up in the final, it's great.
it really is, and like looking at Perth, only had 3 wins in the regular season. So they won against the Conquerors, who ended up finishing last. and they won against the Bulldogs, which at the time seemed like a good win, but it was almost like that was the start of the Bulldogs slide out, because they were on top for the first couple of rounds, but then didn't even make finals in the end. And then beating Adelaide Action X in the last round as well, which cemented the Panthers' spot. It's a great sporting story that you hope, well, I personally hope will come to fruition, because you can probably see the posters behind me there. You can I wear my bias on my sleeve right there. But I tell you what, if Panthers don't get the job done, there's no better opposition that they could lose to than the Matildas, because they are another solid team that have been playing really well together. They lost their shot caller at the beginning of the season, and one of their mainstay players, Saxon, hasn't been able to play, which we'll talk about in. I've got an interview with him and JS from the Perth Panthers as well that we'll be showing after we finished up here. So he hasn't been playing much this season. So being able to get those teams to gel really well, and especially with a new shot caller for the Matildas, and just a couple of play, like they've had, Perth Panthers have had Dastardly step up as a player, and they've brought in Goober as a new player who's just got a wealth of experience there, and Lightning Man and JS are just superstar players in their own rights, but Panthers just until now really haven't seemed to be able to get it together. But now that they seem to be playing really well as a unit, JS is calling really well, so it's going to be an amazing game to see on this Saturday, twitch.tv, World of Tanks ANZ. So that's Saturday, not Friday, because all the games have been on Friday nights for now, but this one's going to be on Saturday from 4 o'clock Perth time, 6 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time, 7 o'clock Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time, 9 o'clock New Zealand time, and I'm going to say 6:30 Adelaide time.
Good one. It's a 30 of some kind.
Yeah, that's it. I think you guys are 2.5 hours ahead of us now, so I think 6:30 is right. And I didn't actually have to write it down, so that's good. I'm remembering.
Oh, nice.
Yes. So yeah, I'm very, very keen to see how that goes off, and hopefully next week I can talk to all you guys about a Panthers victory coming from 7th spot in the last round to take out the grand final.
Yeah, that absolutely would be amazing if that happened, and I'll be tuning as well. I think I've got to root for the Panthers because they took out my Adelaide Action X, so we'll be going for the same team this time.
Yes. I've made a convert for now at least. But also don't forget, we've got the Chiefs in a couple of games at the Six Sweden Major as well going on at the moment, so don't forget to check them out, see how they're going, support the lads over in Sweden there. But we're going to leave you tonight with a couple of different interviews, actually. The first
Chiefs
one
playing in 5 minutes, sorry.
Oh, the Chiefs play in 5 minutes. Hey.
Yeah.
Well, you're not going anywhere just yet because we've got some interviews to show. You can always go back and watch the VOD for those games, you know. This is more important right here. But yeah, so I've got an interview with Saxon from the Melbourne Matildas and the JS from the Perth Panthers, and also talking to Jake Truman from World of Tanks, who's now the associate producer over there. So he's moved on from his, I think it's a product manager role there, and now he's an associate producer. So we'll have a bit of a chat to him about the World of Tanks competitive and how that's all going along. So thanks everybody for joining us tonight, but please stick around for these recorded interviews, and I'll also be back with some games after that as well.
Thanks, Jim.
Hello and welcome to another Nuts and Bolts interview. Grand final special this week. It's been 7 weeks of regular season. We've had 2 weeks of finals so far. It's all come down to this one game. This is the last game for ANZPL Season 3 between the Melbourne Matildas and the Perth Panthers. And I'm joined today by Saxon from the Melbourne Matildas and JS from the Perth Panthers. How are we going, fellas?
Not bad. How you going?
Pretty good.
Really good. Yeah, doing well today.
Yeah, it's a good day, like a couple of days out from the finals. You'll be laying your final preparations. But this one's for sort of both of you there. How are you and the team feeling heading into the grand final? Because it's a new experience for both of you. I mean, Matildas played finals last year, but this is Perth's first shot in there. So how are you guys all feeling, and how's the feeling in the team leading into it? Saxon, why don't you go first?
Yeah, look, it's honestly a pretty interesting one for us, and for me in particular. So how's the team going? I'm not so sure, simply because I'm actually not playing this grand final. So we knew well ahead that my wedding was scheduled for the grand final day, so I won't be there. I'm preoccupied, so I'm kind of letting the team go with what works for them, and kind of have that conversation. And they seem pretty comfortable. I know that when we did the map picks and bans, they felt kind of comfortable about what was a good choice for us and what wasn't. So I think they're in a good groove, and we're happy with where we are. If we didn't win it, then it's still a fantastic season. We'd be super pleased with that.
Yeah. And what about yourself, JS? How are yourself and the team feeling leading into the grand final?
Yeah, pretty good, to be honest. Pretty excited. We haven't been here in the finals before, so we probably didn't expect to go this far at the start of the season. But yeah, we've done it. It's been, honestly, if we didn't take it all the way and win, it'd still be a pretty successful season for us. But yeah, absolutely, we're looking to win it still.
Mm-hmm. And that's it, isn't it? Like the run, not to take away from the Matildas and the work that you guys have done to get to the grand final, but the story of the Panthers being able to get into only qualifying for the finals in the last game of regular season. And you had to have a few bits and pieces fall your way, like the Archers losing and the Bulldogs losing.
Yeah.
But just that story about that, and then beating the Sentinels to get into the grand final, it's one of those little underdog tales that I think a lot of people are getting behind there, and also with the Matildas, like they've had a really good season as well. Like I think you got that lucky win against the Sentinels and the tie. Oh, sorry. Once again, I call it lucky, and I called what the Sentinels did a little unlucky. But they knew what they were doing when they did that. But when they did the push up the hill there, and you guys benefited from it with a tiebreaker win there, and coming against one of the stronger competitors, that probably really set up your season too. So leading into that, though, if we go all the way back to season 1. Perth were on the door of making the finals, and it came down to the last game. And all they had to do was draw to get into the finals.
Yep,
but the Matildas kind of put a dampener on that, taking their first win for the season. So is there a little bit of extra something in there for this JS to maybe a little bit of revenge and maybe try to pull out all the stops? I mean, I know it's a grand final, so you're pulling out all the stops anyway, but just something a little bit extra that would mean beating the Matildas in a grand final, that extra little bit special?
Yeah, a little bit. Honestly, I didn't really think of it a lot. But yeah, like now that I think back, yeah, we just had to not lose that final game in season 1. And Matildas didn't have a very good season that season, and yeah, we kind of fluffed it a little bit. So yeah, no, it'll be a good game, I'm sure. But yeah, I didn't really think of it as a rivalry as much. But yeah.
I know JS. I remember if we check our chat logs immediately after the game, I said I was sorry because I knew.
Yeah, I remember that.
We knew that we were coming last in that season anyway, and we thought that it showed the respect to all of the teams that we tried our best every game.
Yeah, for sure.
And we didn't get the results. And this one, to get across the line, we felt bad about it because, we have great respect for the Panthers. They're a great team. And it's a great team of individual players who are just good people, by and large. So it's been really, we felt bad. We apologised openly. We apologised privately. But, to not give it our all wouldn't be the right thing to do. I think.
For sure.
That's right. You don't go into a game wanting to lose. I don't think anybody that competes at this sort of level does. You go in to win every game, and sometimes it just falls that way. And the chips come down, and you go, "Oh, well, we won, but we're sorry, we knocked you out of the finals." But yeah, that's what you go for. You play for a win. If you get it, it's great. If not, then you analyse and move on.
Yeah, and I mean, we were super hyped. The whole team was watching when Panthers did make it into the finals this time. We were watching their semi-finals match, and we were like, we were really, really happy to see them get in and to do so well. And we were just excited to play them in the finals. We've scrimmed a couple of times. It's been like a lot of back and forth, and I think we've really learned from each other. So this is fantastic for us. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, it'll be a good game.
I must admit, I got to watch it, but I wasn't at home. I was out at the pub, and I couldn't convince the pub to put it on the big screen. So I'm sitting there watching it on my phone, and people are giving me weird looks when I'm slapping the table, going, "Come on, Panthers, you're getting it." but yeah, it's definitely going to be a good game. But like I was saying earlier, Saxon, this is your second run at the finals. The season 2 run you had, you came off something like, was it 5 wins? Or something. There was like 3 or 4, maybe 5 wins in a row to get into the finals, and then the loss to I think it was the Scorpions, or were you playing Sentinels? I can't quite remember.
So season 2 we lost to the Bulldogs.
Bulldogs, sorry.
Yeah, it was kind of. It's hard to say. There's every team has its own kind of fragilities, and kind of we were really tested that night and came up wanting on a number of fronts. It is what it is. So it's nice to go that one step further this time.
Yeah, and this year's lead-in I felt for you was like, I'm going to say a little bit more sedate, but it was just sort of more. You didn't have that big run of success, but while you were still getting those wins here and there and tiebreaker, and you're getting points at least. So how does that feel around the team with that sort of a lead into the grand final? Because like coming off all those wins, you would have been riding pretty high on confidence, and this year maybe not riding it quite as high, but obviously with still some confidence there.
Yeah, I suppose there's only been one change for us in the off season, but that was from our caller leaving at the end of season 2. So with Whippet picking up calling full time and kind of being supported by kind of Bales heavily, myself a little bit as well, and bringing in Bowl into the team, it was kind of that time to reform and hit that new dynamic and find what works for us and what doesn't, and what you're comfortable and confident in making those moves, because a lot of the time it's a bit of a confidence game. It's we can make this push, and if they don't feel like they can catch it. But if they see that trepidation, they see that kind of indecision, someone's not sure about how they fit into the plan. I think that's what we were really working through in those first few weeks, and started to really improve as we gelled better as a unit. So it's been a bit of from my eyes, it's been a bit of progression of kind of a team almost reforming, even though it's only a very small change. A one-person change, but it's a big impact change. So it's been fun.
That's good, yeah. And when you lose someone with that sort of experience and the know-how and the shot calling, it is quite a big shift, and you've got to get used to it. And you also, like with JS this year, you guys have had a few new players coming in and picking up. Goober and Dastardly seems to have helped you out really well there. Dastardly always seemed, when the games that he played, he always seems to rack up some pretty big damage numbers there, and having Goober as that experience that he has there I think has helped you guys immensely as well. How is it behind the scenes having them there?
Yeah, it's good. So actually we had Dastardly in season 2.
Sorry.
He didn't play much. Yeah, no, it was all good. But yeah, he just didn't play much in season 2. But yeah, I've got him more involved. Got him more involved this season. It's been really good. And Goober, of course, I'd say easily one of the best players on the server. Yeah, it's like, we've got good individual players in our team. I think it's just about working as a team, which is we're not. I'm not saying we're bad at it, but I think that's what lets us down at times. Our teamwork. Obviously, I've been calling for 2 seasons now. I first picked it up last season. I hadn't done any calling before, so I'm still learning. Still getting used to it. Honestly, like it's not something you just you learn. Like it takes a long time to get used to these kind of things.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we've definitely come a long way. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, and all that improvement's starting to show now as well. The wins that you had, and was it 3 wins in the end against the Bulldogs, the Conquerors, and Action X there, and against the Sentinels as well in the first round of the finals. So I think that gelling is starting to happen, and the teamwork there and is really all coming together, and shot calling's not easy, man. I play hockey in my spare time and I focus on what I'm doing. I don't know how coaches sit back and see the big picture. It'd be similar for you guys, I reckon, and it's just playing and being able to visualize the whole map and know what you're going to try and do, man. That's a crazy job.
It's difficult, but it's getting better. But yeah,
that's it. So we're coming to the end of the interview here, but I'd like to give both of you the chance for any last comments before the grand final. And anything in particular that you'd like to say, JS?
Not a lot, to be honest. I'm just looking forward to a good game. I'm sure it will be. As Saxon said earlier, we've scrimmed quite a bit, and I don't think any of us showed there were no real dominating scrims. It was always close, so I reckon it'll definitely be a close game and a good game.
That's awesome. What about you, Saxon?
Oh, look, I mean, it's a good luck to the boys from Panthers. Good luck to our guys. I hope all the viewers really enjoy. And I hope we give them their money's worth and take it all the way to a tiebreaker and they get the full run. But I think whichever way it goes, it's a great cup off to a great season. I'm really pleased with it.
Sure.
And I'm not sure I could be happier with a different opponent for the grand final. So this would be something great that I'll watch. I've got the leave pass on my wedding night to watch it, so I'll take that knowledge.
Priorities.
It's worth a bit to us, and it's important, right? And I enjoy it, and it's been a big part of it. So props to the guys, and props to Wargaming as well for supporting that. I think Jay in particular has put a lot of blood, sweat, and a whole lot of tears in making sure this works out, and really appreciate that effort.
Yeah, no, I spoke to Jay earlier today, and I think the way things will shape up, this interview will air directly after this interview that we're doing here now, and just the way he talks about it, he's so passionate about everything ANZPL, and not just that, but all the competitive forms, whether it's the B League as well or the ESL stuff they've got set up. And I cannot speak highly enough of World of Tanks. Coming in at season 1 and watching it all progress, I've had a ball, and I've learned a lot about the game, and can't wait to see you guys face up. Well, not so much Saxon, but having fun at his wedding day, but seeing the Matildas face off with the Panthers this Saturday night, so not Friday night, Saturday night from 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time, going across the country and region from Perth. It's 4 o'clock Perth time. I think it's going to be 8... Hang on.
Calculator out.
Yeah, no. I always get tripped up on Adelaide time. So that'll be 6:30 in Adelaide, because they're 2.5 hours ahead of us now. 6 o'clock in Queensland, 7 o'clock in Victoria and New South Wales, and 9 o'clock in New Zealand, I believe.
That sounds right.
Yeah. One of these days I'm going to write it down before I attempt to say stuff like that, so I can just read it off a sheet of paper. But yes, definitely head there. World of Tank, that's ANZ on Twitch, and we'll be in for a great game. JS, Saxon, thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see everybody on Saturday night. Hello everyone, welcome to a Nuts and Bolts special interview. Today I'm joined with Jake Truman, who has since changed job roles since we last spoke. He's now an associate producer at Wargaming Sydney. Jake, thank you so much for joining me today.
Always a pleasure, Jim. Thank you for having me, dude.
There's anytime, always a pleasure talking to you and just getting that little bit of background insight into tanks. And it's been such a great season this year, both in the PL and the BL as well. Seeing the extra team added into the B League with the Lismore Leopards, then going on to beat the Wollongong Wolverines in the grand final there, which was a bit of a shock considering the Wolverines were undefeated up until that point.
Yeah, it was a really interesting season for the B League. A really good season. Like I'm quite pleased. I think we saw, much in the same way that we saw the big jump in quality and commitment in the Premier League from season 1 to season 2. I think that was very much reflected in the B League too. Once that got up and running with season 1 earlier in the year. So yeah, the new team in the mix. We were looking at 6 teams originally, but 5 was going to be the right fit for that. And I think the proof is in the pudding in terms of the quality of players and how well those teams gelled together. And a really exciting final too. It was really nice ability and opportunity that we had to actually put the B League final on the Premier League broadcast. Because I think it showcased, beyond reasonable doubt, beyond all, anything that you can be concerned about, is that these teams are getting closer and closer to Premier League level, and I think that was another big jump between season 1 and season 2. There was quite a bit of I would say a skill discrepancy, and not just skill but also commitment. A lot of the guys in the B League in season 1 were just keen to have muck around and have some fun with mates, but you can see them kind of getting into gear into season 2, and as I believe one of our casters, JT, who himself is a storied Premier League and World of Tanks competitive player, he said himself, like half the teams in the B League now are, could pretty much, be considered mid-table Premier League teams, and that's exactly what we want to be cultivating with the grassroots league.
Yeah, and it does look amazing. Like that grand final, to go to the tiebreaker, and just the quality of play that you're getting there is just as good as some of the games in the Premier League. And on that note, are you working towards sort of maybe a relegation and promotion system between the leagues?
Very, very much. It's something that we've had firmly in mind since we realised we probably had enough interest in competitive to do 2 leagues. Obviously, I'm a passionate traditional football fan. I've made no attempts to hide the Premier League's inspiration when it comes to European football, and obviously I think that's one of the most exciting elements of that kind of competitive. They call it the footballing pyramid, but that competitive pyramid in the sense that there are no games when you've got a promotion relegation system. There are no games that you can don't count, or like if you get to the end of the season, you've lost every game. You're guaranteed last. That even that last game could be make or break in terms of that promotion relegation. So absolutely, it is something we're working towards. I'm not sure if it will be a season 4 thing, but potentially a season 5 thing, provided that we can ensure that the commitment from all players across both leagues is at the standard that it needs to be, and as long as we keep the quality of players moving up and moving through the ranks, then it's definitely something that we're looking towards.
Mm-hmm. That's really, really cool. I think it like seeing the league grow, because we're 18 months into the ANZPL now and only a year into the B League, and seeing that growth that you guys have had, being able to, for season 2 of the PL you added the B League, for season 3 of the ANZPL you got another team into the B League as well. So having that growth is just so exciting to see. I've been loving watching those, and Mondays are a little bit harder for me to tune in, but I've definitely been trying to tune in when I can and see those teams. And it's like I say, it's a breeding ground, and those players' skills come up. And you've already seen like a couple of the players from the B League have come into the Premier League this year and made an impact.
Yeah, absolutely. We had 3 players from the B League in season 1 promote themselves or get selected through the draft into the Premier League, and they've really shone. I think Crit was one of those examples from the Conquerors, and he ended up winning himself an Alienware monitor because he ended up being the most accurate sharpshooter in the Premier League in his debut season. So the examples like that. Another example I think is Stewie, who came through the B League, now performing incredibly well for the Archers. You had Raspberry as well on the Scorpions. Like these guys, you would think that they would be consistently kind of like struggling to keep up, when in actual fact that they've shone and they've excelled in these teams. And so that's very much, you know, like I say, what we're trying to cultivate. It's been awesome. Actually, we had a couple of I guess you could say like legacy competitive players in the B League this season. So we had Rowandy, who was previously in the Sentinels in the Premier League. You know, taking a step back, he just had a young bub, so he obviously couldn't commit to the intensity of the Premier League, but still wanted to be involved in the competitive space. He's been great in terms of bringing up some other, you know, newer or less competitive players. Another guy by the name of Skell, who you might remember scored that fantastic ace in the tiebreaker, really showing his competitive chops there.
And, you know, and also known for his wonderful reviews in the ANZPL Twitch chat there.
Absolutely, exclamation mark Skell to get your match by match Skell review. But these guys are really important, you know, like they're you know, well known in the community. They've got a high level of skill, but they're willing to, you know, kind of like bring the other guys up with them, which I think is really important. And you know, we've talked a bit about the B League and the Premier League, but we also started in partnership with AEL a university league this year, so that's been really cool too. We have actually had a couple of the players from the Premier League, you know, form their own uni teams, and so that allows us for yet another avenue of potential grassroots competitive and another, you know, stream of players who can potentially, you know, find themselves, you know, being a fully fledged competitive player.
That's really awesome to see, because like, I'm really big on Australian esports, and like you've seen it in like the Worlds recently with well, I need to specify which Worlds, because there's a few going on at the moment, but like the League of Legends Worlds and even like CS:GO and Valorant and all those sorts of esports where they go to huge international competitions, but the Australian region I don't feel gets treated as an equal in other, and yes, we got a long way to come with certain things and how we treat esports in general and the audience that we have here, but seeing the way that you guys are growing World of Tanks as an esports, just it really speaks to me, because I've spent a fair bit of time in hockey. I play grass hockey myself, and seeing the way that we've managed to grow our club by starting these little bits and pieces here and growing our club, I can really see parallels to what you guys are doing with World of Tanks, and getting that base going first and the grassroots really in depth and really solidifying that is really going to help World of Tanks down the road when it comes to the professional gameplay.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're quite right. It certainly is esports Christmas at the moment, when you consider all the tournaments that have been running. But yeah, it's definitely been a focus of ours. Obviously, you know, in my previous role, you know, as ANZ product manager, my focus was well and truly ANZ. So always have to put our community first in that respect. But I think it did speak to a larger point, which you touched on there, which I think by and large ANZ and you know, OCE is kind of like an afterthought when it comes to, you know, global esports. You know, we have a very loyal market here in ANZ, but obviously it pales in comparison when you compare it to the sizes of Europe or North America or, you know, China or something like that. So I think from a publisher's perspective, you know, when you look at like your worlds, basically it's very hard to kind of, I guess, justify the involvement or justify the level of I guess dedication you need. But I think what's been really exciting is that, you know, with the right tools and the right approach and the right community mentality behind it, you can prove why, you know, that's not the case. And, you know, I don't think that you know, we don't have the monopoly on doing that. I know there are other leagues in Australia who this year and over the past couple of years have really shown why, you know, OCE and ANZ is truly an esports region to be reckoned with, and that's very much the case in World of Tanks. Like, some of our players here are among the best players in the region, if not the world. So we just need to basically, you know, put them on a stage, more or less, and getting them working towards a common goal. And sure enough, that has generated enough interest where we can start considering, more regional, if not global approaches. Nothing's locked in yet, but we now have the foundation where we can start, actually reasonably considering that kind of expansion.
Sweet. And being on a stage and presenting these players on a stage, you certainly are, with the finals happening at the moment for the ANZPL. And I got to say, I'm going to get my bias out of the way right now and say, go Panthers!
Waiting for this.
Yeah, go Panthers! I'm trying to be unbiased here, but it's going to happen. It's going to come out sooner or later. But the story of the Panthers coming into their first ANZPL final series, let alone the grand final, and the Matildas as well, coming through, because they had a good run at the end of season 2 to try to get into finals. Unfortunately, didn't make it through to the grand final, but I think they won something like 5 games in a row or something to get into the finals last season, which is a tremendous effort. And I feel like the effort of the Matildas in particular, who have sort of been on that cusp for a little while, and just seeing the Panthers, it was the last game of the last round that solidified their spot this season, and then to go on and beat the Sentinels, I feel was just, it's just one of those things where I think they're playing with confidence now, and really it's anybody's game still for the grand final, and seeing those two teams come up against each other, which I think when they met this season, Matildas won 3-2, sorry. So that was a tiebreaker win for the Matildas. It's going to be very exciting to see how this game goes down.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was imagining you jumping up and down and carrying on, when the Cats made that amazing, final run. But I think that's what I love, as a sports fan, about the Premier League. It's one thing to have, the nice production. It's one thing to have the good players and everything like that. But what I've really loved and what has consistently surprised me about the Premier League is that it has created those storylines and some of those, those upsets or, those sporting moments that we love sport for, which, I think was a big challenge with World of Tanks competitive traditionally, and some other esports titles, when you have a start of the season and there's very well and truly the best team, and then at the end you basically know who's getting through at the start of the season before the first game even kicks off. But you're right, it did come down to the last battle in the last matchup of the final round of the season, and that is the 3rd time in a row that's happened. We have had in the last matchup, and funnily enough, in season 1 it was the Matildas who denied the Panthers the playoff spot. The Panthers only needed a draw, and Matildas hadn't won all season, and they won their last game in season 1 to deny Panthers that playoff spot. So there's a bit of history there, and then of course in season 2 it came down to the last battle as well. So yeah, that's been super exciting, and yeah, like you say, I think we've well and truly got a pretty cool final on our hands to see here.
Yeah, I think one thing I do have to ask about is what's going to be the warm-up game. Have we got some Ouija's versus CCs happening again?
No, so we're actually trying to leverage the fact that we can't do a LAN this season. Obviously, COVID, threw a spanner in that, as it has been inclined to do over the past couple of years, basically. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to get as many of our Premier League players involved in the show match as possible, because obviously we didn't have to consider who would actually be physically on ground to perform at a LAN. We could have as many people as were interested. So what we'll be doing for the show matches is basically like a show match shuffle. So each will be playing out a series of 7 battles across 4 different maps, and each map will have a different theme to it. So I believe the first battle is a historical battle. The second battle, the matchup is EBRs only. So the wheeled vehicles that have traditionally been banned from Premier League are now the only vehicle that can be used. So that will certainly be interesting. I think there's a state of origin in there, and then I don't want to give too much away, so I'll keep my lips sealed on what the tiebreaker theme is. But we'll definitely have some some exciting matches and some meme strategies, and no doubt hilarity will ensue.
No doubt. That sounds really exciting. You're seeing the different part of World of Tanks. So if you're not a player, you can see the differences in the different game modes and the different tanks as well. Because this is where I started, just watching the World of Tanks, and I'm slowly making my way through. I've got 2 tier 4 tanks now that I
very nice, very nice.
Getting there, but yeah, and just seeing those different sort of tanks that you can get, so that'll be very exciting for the warm-up match. So that is this Saturday, so not Friday night if you've been watching along at home.
Yes. Yep.
Change to the Saturday, so you can sit back, have a few drinks, and enjoy this World of Tanks spectacular that we'll be seeing, finalising in the ANZPL Season 3 grand final there between the Melbourne Matildas and the Perth Panthers. In all my notes that I've got written down here, I haven't written down the start time. Is it still going to be about 6 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time?
7 p.m. Australian. I think it's daylight time. Which of the 5 time zones that are currently in Australia are we using? So 7 p.m. AEDT, which I believe would be 4 p.m. local time for you for the Perth fans.
Mm-hmm. 4 p.m. in Perth and 7 p.m. for the Melbourne fans, and for those up in Queensland, that's 6 o'clock and 9 o'clock in New Zealand, I think.
South Australia, I think it's 6:30, and I think they're a half hour behind us because they wanted to do the half hour thing for some reason. But that, of course, that is the broadcast will start around then, so we'll have the show match first, and then the grand final will be following that. So grand final will probably be around 9 p.m. AEDT, but of course, you want to be there from the very first second, because it's just amazing from the moment the stream starts, really.
That's it. Why wouldn't you want to sit there and watch it? And that way you can get your full drops.
You get your drops, you get your giveaways. We've got special finals giveaways if you're able to join. Fortress down for the watch party. We'll be hosting one, even though we can't be in the Alienware Arena. We'll be hosting a watch party there. There's more prizes that you can get there. There's prizes on the broadcast. We've got prizes on social media. It's an ANZPL final celebration at World of Tanks at the moment. So you certainly don't want to miss it wherever you are and however you want to watch it.
That's it. And don't forget, you can get your free tickets to I believe they're free, to the Fortress Melbourne. If you're over there and want to go and watch among a whole heap of like-minded Tanks fans, you can get together and watch it there, and not be like me in a pub trying to watch it on my phone.
That's it, and in typical World of Tanks fashion, we couldn't host an on-ground event without shouting a couple of rounds. So any registered ticket holders get a free bev on us, and plenty of opportunities to get. I think we've got about three noble chairs to give away. We've got some Ironside $50 coffee vouchers. We've got some tanks to give away. Of course, there's the hot shot competition where you can win a year of coffee. I'm just turning into a giant plug now, so I'm going to stop.
That's all right. It's always amazing. Like that coffee in particular, man. Just that partnership you had with Ironside there is just always really cool to me. And the sponsors you got, what they give out. Like I am wearing a HyperX World of Tanks Season 2 branded headset right now. It's such a good little headset, and you guys have always got really good giveaways. So tune in. Twitch.tv/World of Tanks ANZ, Saturday from 7 p.m. Australian Eastern Daylight Savings Time. Check it all out. It'll be amazing. Jake, thank you so much for joining us. I do just want to say thank you so much for during this season as well, because Jake's the one that sets up our interviews with the players as well, and he's makes my life easier when he just puts me in touch and go, here you go, have a chat with this guy. They're the ones doing the interview this week. So thank you so much for that as well, and good luck.
Always a pleasure, Jim. Thank you so much for playing host to our players, asking the tough questions, and I have no doubt I'll be bantering with you in the chat on Saturday night. Make sure you get your fantasy picks in, by the way.
Well, they're already done. I did them straight away after last week. We're going to get there. There's one game.
One game to go, and I think I'm about 40 points ahead of you, mate. So you got all to play for. The coveted Jake and Jim bragging rights for fantasy. It's going to be a good one.
No worries. Thanks, Jake. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Cheers, mate. Always a pleasure.
Hey, you. Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. You, right there. I see you've watched our video all the way to the end. If you like what we're doing, why not drop us a subscribe? Or if you even like us even more, drop a comment and like us and all that jazz, because it really helps out the channel. And we're very keen to get our content out to you and let us know what you like, what you didn't like, all that jazz. And we'll see you next time.